Hey there, good timers. Charlie here with another unbelievable update on Jake Paul's so-called boxing career. Jake Paul has officially declared himself with influencer boxing, and honestly, is anyone surprised? After bulldozing through a grand total of 2 influencer opponents, Paul's promotional company, Most Valuable Promotions, MVP, is now crowning him the best there was, is, and ever will be. The ego is staggering, but sure Jake, let's roll with it. Last week, Jake's old playground, influencer boxing, had a bit of a reunion moment, as his former opponents Anis and Gib and Deji Olatunji took to the ring at the Misfits Boxing Supercard in Qatar. Anis and Gib handled business, defeating Slim Albahir over 8 rounds while Deji pulled off a head-scratching 3rd-round win against 0-5 punching bag Dawood Savage. If you thought Jake might weigh in with congratulations for his old rivals, think again. Jake, in true Jake fashion, couldn't resist downplaying Deji's win, tweeting, "We do not care like some high schooler brushing off a bad grade. It's peak Jake Paul, energy dismissive, petty, and utterly predictable." In the aftermath, MVP dropped an Instagram post with enough self-congratulation to make your eyes roll. They called Jake the best there was, is, and ever will be in influencer boxing, celebrating his impressive record of 2-0 with 2 KOs. You'd think this was Muhammad Ali we're talking about. They need him, he doesn't need them, MVP proclaimed, brushing aside the likes of KSI and even Logan Paul, Jake's brother, to name Anis and Gib as the current king of influencer boxing. If MVP is to be believed, Jake's name was apparently dropped 400 times during the event, which feels like a stretch. But hey, this is Jake Paul we're talking about. Facts are optional. For all the shade MVP tossed, Anis and Gib seemed genuinely gracious about Jake's career. Gib, who got floored by Jake back in 2020, offered some respect for Paul's much-criticized fight against boxing legend Mike Tyson. Despite widespread ridicule over the bout, which many saw as a cash grab dressed up as a spectacle, Gib chose to see the glass half full. "It was a great exhibition," Gib told, diplomatically dodging the question of whether Tyson was embarrassingly out of his depth. "No one got seriously hurt, but yeah, you felt sorry for Mike a few times." Translation: Tyson looked rough, but hey, Netflix production values can cover a multitude of sins. Gib also admitted, "Mike didn't get hit too hard, right? From the clips that I saw, it didn't look too bad." That's probably the nicest way to say, Jake was pulling his punches because no one wants to see a 58-year-old man seriously hurt. Gib added that Paul's career so far has been good, though he couldn't help but speculate on what Jake's next move might be. Let's be honest, Jake's legacy in influencer boxing is more about being loud than being groundbreaking. Sure, his 2 influencer fights against Gib and Deji were decent wins, but they were also carefully curated to make Jake look invincible. And now, as he steps away from influencer boxing, MVP's attempt to frame him as the sport's ultimate legend feels more than a little forced. For a guy who loves to stir the pot, Jake stepping back just as influencer boxing starts heating up feels convenient. Was he afraid to face real competition like KSI? Or is it just easier to keep punching past their prime pros like Mike Tyson than deal with fresh talent? Either way, Jake's exit comes with plenty of questions. So, what's next for Jake? We do not care, Paul. His move away from influencer boxing doesn't mean he's done with combat sports altogether. Jake has made it clear he wants to be taken seriously as a professional fighter, even if his biggest matches often feel more like reality TV than legitimate boxing. As Anis and Gib pointed out, I'm sure him and his team are going to make a perfect plan. Whether that plan involves fighting actual contenders, or continuing his streak of high-profile but low-risk bouts remains to be seen, but one thing's for sure, Jake will find a way to keep himself in the headlines, whether he's in the ring or stirring up drama on social media. Love him or hate him, Jake Paul has undeniably changed the conversation around boxing. He's brought younger audiences to the sport, turned influencer boxing into a legitimate niche, and made millions in the process. But his retirement from the influencer scene raises questions about the sustainability of a sport built on spectacle. Without Jake, does influencer boxing lose some of its spark? Or is it better off without his oversized ego dominating the narrative? With fighters like Anis and Gib stepping up, the sport might just have a chance to evolve beyond the Jake Paul era. Jake Paul wants us to believe he's the GOAT of influencer boxing, a title he's more than happy to bestow upon himself. But let's not kid ourselves. While Jake has undeniably played a key role in popularizing the influencer boxing scene, his self-proclaimed greatness feels more like marketing than merit. For all his bravado, Jake's influencer boxing career boils down to 2 carefully selected fights and a lot of noise. If he wants to be remembered as more than a loudmouth with a decent right hook, his next moves in professional boxing will have to speak louder than his Instagram posts. Until then, Jake can keep telling himself he's the best there ever was. The rest of us? We'll be watching to see if his hype can keep up with reality. And there you have it, good timers. Charlie, out.